U24. I've been just watching it at home, and I used to think that it's a station for young people.
The Generation Z.
The Generation Z. But I'm happy to be here.
Interesting. Also next to Honorable Chwanda is one also a senior citizen and also a man who has served in this country in the military, but also heading one of the top organs of security, that is ISO, Internal Security Organization, and is Major Retired. Lusa, David Lusa, most welcome to the State of Affairs.
Thank you very much, Eben. I'm honored to be here. And as we proceed, I think we shall discuss the state of affairs. As our topic says, I beg we proceed straight to the discussion for the day.
Interesting. Without wasting any minute, we're going straight into our talk tonight, and we're looking at building peaceful elections in our country called Uganda. That is our home, and we would love to see how we can shape this country, but also participate in the general elections. The general elections, campaigns have kicked off already. We are talking about the third day. So far, so good. No violence, no death, no arrests have been so far reported. President MUSEVENI has been in so many parts, and today I think he was in Leptong.
Yeah.
And Mujishamonto has been in Western Uganda, I want to believe. And also Robert Chaguranyi, I think, is in the Eastern Uganda. So far, so good. However, last time we had the spokesperson of police saying that some candidates and some supporters have started provoking security personnel which would we're going to see in details in this discussion, especially when it comes to violence, especially when every time we have election cycle, we always have violence, we have arrests, we have death, we have candidates complaining, others arrested, their supporters beaten, arrested, and we ask ourselves, is it about the unprofessionalism of the security forces, or we, the candidates and our supporters, go an extra mile by provoking the security? But before we go into the state of affairs tonight, we would also want to cross the border, and we talk about one of the states that form the East African community, that is the Democratic Republic of Congo, where this week we heard that the former president, that is Joseph Kabila, was sentenced to death in his absentia by the current government of Tshisekedi. Let's get into that, and we come back, and I will share I'll ask my guests to share their perspective on that as we continue with our discussion on the state of affairs.
The Democratic Republic of Congo's former president, Joseph Kabila, was sentenced to death in absentia on Tuesday by a military court. He was convicted of war crimes, treason, and crimes against humanity, and also ordered to pay around $50 billion in various damages to the state and victims. The case stems from his alleged role in supporting the advance of Rwanda-backed M23 rebels in Congo's volatile east. Rwanda, which has long denied helping M23, says its forces act in self-defense against Congo's army and ethnic Hutu militiamen linked to the 1994 Rwandan genocide. Kabila, who led Congo from 2001 to 2019, has denied wrongdoing and says the judiciary has been politicized. He was not present for the trial and was also unrepresented by legal counsel. Neither he nor his representatives were immediately available for comment, and his current whereabouts are not known. Lawyer Richard Bondo hailed the result as a victory for the country.
We are satisfied because justice has been served. So, the justice rendered in the name of the Congolese people gives satisfaction to these people. Given that the defendant, Kabila, mastermind of all rebel movements, all insurgents, and all Rwandan aggression, he, as the mastermind, has just been sentenced to capital punishment.
Some residents of Congo's rebel-occupied eastern city of Bukavu did not share that sentiment. This resident pointed out that the trial had cost the public millions and questioned whether Kabila's conviction would truly bring an end to the conflict in eastern parts of the country. The verdict could fuel further divisions in the vast mineral-rich Central African nation, which has endured decades of conflict. M23 rebels now control much of North Kivu and South Kivu provinces. The fighting has killed thousands and displaced hundreds of thousands more this year. The two sides signed the US-brokered peace agreement in June, but Reuters...
That is what is happening in DRC Congo, what happened in DRC Congo just here in our neighborhood. And you should remember that DRC Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, is part of East African community, and anything that happens there really concerns all of us as the people of Uganda and citizens of East Africa. I would want to start with you, David. You tell us what you think this could be. What do you read in this?
Well, I don't read too much. Sentencing somebody in absentia, it's common, I think, in the Francophone countries. Well, I don't think we have such a situation where you try somebody and sentence him when he or she is not there. How effective is it? Of course, it's not effective because the person is not anywhere unless you abduct him or unless you have an extradition treaty with the country where he's staying. So in this case, I might say maybe this is more academic than real. As for the factors, I don't have much I can say because I don't know what the circumstances of this case are. I see he's accused, but since he was not represented and since he was not around to defend himself, we can say that this is a matter about which we can't say much because the merits of the case, of course, you can't judge a case based on one party.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. What about you, Wanda? What do you read in this story and this case in DRC Congo? Could this be a security matter or it is political in nature?
Some time back, I went to Central African Republic. Content of their manifestos and how do they content of their manifestos and how do they articulate issues and what are the remedies they provide for the country, because at times when you look at the age and you judge people according to their age, probably you may misjudge them. But first of all, I want to appreciate that being a chairman of the National Consultative Forum, yes, I represent National Resistance Movement on that forum, but I'm the chairman of all the candidates. I was there when they were nominated, each one of them, and I attended their speeches at Reza, at Electoral Commission offices. Of course, I listened to all of them. First of all, I want to congratulate Ugandans, but for the first time in the history of this country, probably, since we went multi-party in 2006, of course 2005, that's when we adopted the multi-party dispensation. In the preceding elections that we had, first of all in 2006, we had people who stood as independents. In 2011, people stood as independents. 2016, 2021. For the first time in the history since we went back from a party dispensation, this is the first election where all the 8 candidates come from political parties. All the 8. Before, even Mr. Mabidis, who has been organically coming from as an independent, this time at least he decided to come under the CP ticket. So that one is a big plus to my organization, because for us as a political parties, one of the biggest thorns that we have as a political party is the individual meriticism. Because the individual merit that has been here for some time, for a lot of time, even when you went multi-party, people are still chased, people are still under that individual merit syndrome. And that is even weakening parties. When you come to parliament, this time members of the opposition are less than the members of the independent. And of course, when they reach parliament, they form themselves into an independent caucus, which actually don't even exist. because independents are independent from each other. So there's no way we can say we are independents and we are together, because the word independent, it seems you are independent. So there is no way to say it's a caucus of independents. It cannot hold. So for the first time.
But I've also seen your party, especially the top leadership, very serious and very bitter about those that lost in the primaries, saying that this is a party movement and we're not going to be behind those who have lost.
But that one is also cosmetic, because the party NRM has capacity to amend the constitution, because this is not about condemning, but can be put in the law. I've benchmarked on this as a chairman of Consultative Forum. I was in Ghana, I was in Tanzania, I was also in Kenya some time back. But for them, they describe who is an independent. For example, in Kenya, they describe an independent, that the person can only be independent if in the last 6 months you've never associated with any political party, you've never had a card for any political party, so you can be independent. Of course, there is a big challenge now, the way we hold our primaries. I've just seen, of course you knew how people were complaining after the NRM primaries, and they thought that the NUP ones probably they would be better. Afterwards, they NUP, I don't know whether they had primaries or not, but still the cry that came from local government to members of parliament today under the National Unity Platform is actually unbelievable. So now people are saying that what if we had closed the window of independence, what would happen? But of course the fact that we know, if somebody knows that that window does not exist, people will choose the right political party. And once you choose to enter a political party like a democratic party, like a NRM, you should be, first of all, ready for any outcome. And even that political party should also take serious their primaries. Otherwise, people have alternatives to run to any other party if you don't hold your primaries very well, either on that very elections or in the preceding election that might come. Now, finally, you are asking about the presidential candidates. First of all, I'm very proud that I have the most experienced candidate in this race as National Resistance Movement. You know, there are 4 things that win an election, but one of them is a candidate. The candidates accounts for almost 40% of the votes. To the person like President MUSEVENI accounts for about 60% of the votes that he gets. His personality alone, his experience. Number 2, his message. This man has been very consistent on his message. Yesterday, somebody asked on one of the forum, what's the difference between the NRM campaigns and the PDM campaigns that have been moving on? Because they see the president almost portraying the same message, both at what he used to say during the PDM tours that he's been having, but even this campaign, it's about consistency, and that's very important in politics. You should be known of something. Now, President Museveni, of course, apart from security, apart from development, apart from his international relationships, and everything that he does, now people associate him so much on household income. They know him as a person that is determined to change the lives of the people from the household. Number 3 that wins an election is the teamwork, building a structure. The National Resistance Movement has a structure from the village. I bet there is no political party in this country that has a committee from every village of this country. We have over 2.5 million leaders as I talk now. So if each one of these people mobilize almost three people, we shall be having about 7.5 million votes. So from the word go, it's like National Resistance Movement has won these elections. Not because of anything, but because of the good candidate, the good message, the strategy, and of course the teamwork that is being exhibited, even now during the campaigns that you see out there.
Interesting. Shall come back to that. David, you have served this country, especially when it comes to security. And every time we have election cycle, most of Ugandans are always worried about their children, about how we are going to conduct these elections. And we pray that by Feb, all of us are safe, no one is in prison, and no one is killed. All the candidates are okay, all their supporters are okay. But my question to you, sir, how do we balance national security and the citizens' freedom?
Okay, first of all, we need to ask ourselves, what are elections all about? See, the moment you don't ask yourself the fundamental question, then you lose it. Because elections are not for gathering together, and to me, as a political scientist, I can simply say that elections are for electing our own leaders. That is the purpose of election. So, creating insecurity in the process of electing leaders is not tenable. It's really, I mean, it's the negation, or it's the opposite of what an election should be, because we are trying to elect our own leaders. And that doesn't call for insecurity. If anything, we need to have security, because without security, you cannot have elections, really. I'm old enough to remember that in 1980, I witnessed the first elections. And those elections, to say the least, were a fiasco. The person who was in charge of the country then, somebody, the late Paulo Mwanga, in the middle of elections, decided actually to scrap the elections and say he would be the one to declare the results. I don't know how many of you, well, many of you were not there, but that's what he did. He said, only me will announce the results of the elections. And of course, we know he was associated with one of the political parties, which is the UPC. And obviously, UPC won, in inverted commas, won the elections, but there was no peace. Of course, as we know, people went and fought the UPC government until they removed it from power. So, one of the prerequisites, the prerequisite for elections, there are a number of things, by the way, if you'll allow me to stress it. Peaceful elections must, first of all, there must be a strong government in power. Otherwise, you can't organize peaceful elections. The government in control must be effective. It must be in full governance and control of the country. That's the first prerequisite for elections. Number two, there must be, you know, like we are talking of building, that's the word underlined.
Building peaceful elections in Uganda.
When you are building, you have materials. You start with BOQs, bills of quantities, you make a plan, you have a budget, and so with elections, you have to have these things. We have said there must be a government which is strong enough and in control. Number two, there must be a legal framework. There must be laws under which these elections will be held. You don't just say there will be elections. There must be laws defining who should participate, which political parties are allowed, which individuals, who should not be allowed to stand, who should be disqualified and why, all those, and how will the elections run, all those, that's step number one. Then there must be structures in place to implement. We have the Electoral Commission, for example. That's one of the structures. At different levels, we have the National Independent Electoral Commission. Then at districts, we have district election officers. Then you have election officials, polling assistants, all these structures.
And the Chuandas of National Consultative Forum.
Well, yes, and then of course, there must be
the political parties, but also observers, NGOs.
Yes.
NGOs.
Embassies.
You must have NGOs, you must have civic education. People should be educated on how they are going to participate. There must be, security. Of course, security. Security. Without security, you cannot have an election at all. And then there must be, okay, elections are held. The individuals who participate in those elections must also be disciplined enough to play by the rules of the game. Because you see, like football, I love football. When you go to the football pitch, you have to, when the referee says stop, you stop. When he says handball, you stop. When he awards a penalty, you don't reject. So people who participate in these elections must be ready and prepared to play by the rules that have been put in place. And then, that aside, there must be a way by which all the participants will be satisfied that it has been fair. And like now, you see, giving the example of today, President Museveni is in northern Uganda. Where is Honorable Kyagulanyi is in east.
Is in Eastern Uganda.
Honorable Mugisha Muntu is in
west.
western. Oh, each of them is free to move, and they are given security.
And Munagwa must be the winner.
Yes.
Okay, which is okay.
I think today he was relaxing.
And then the security was the other day I heard, police was saying it's not proper for a presidential candidate to be guarded by kanyamas. These fellows, what are they called in English?
Private bodyguards.
Private bodyguards. There must be national security to protect the candidates. And so all these things...
Which they were given.
And then lastly, I want to summarize it like this. If there are any grievances arising out of elections, people are not satisfied. Of course, not everybody will be satisfied. Although in Africa, nobody loses in an election. Whoever loses claims they have been cheated. Even people who labored to get people to support them, sponsors, will claim they were cheated.
Okay.
And so because of those various claims, there must be a body, not arbitration, an adjudication body. Of course, there will be adjudication also, rather arbitration at some stage, especially intra-party issues can be arbitrated and resolutions made. But at the national level, even after the elections have been concluded, there must be an adjudication body.
Okay.
In this case, the courts of law, which will decide.
Interesting.
Okay.
But if we can leverage on your expertise and experience in security, so far we have had 3 days of the presidential elections, but we have not had any violence. What are those triggers where we come to the point that people have started being arrested, others being beaten, others are fighting the other kind? How do we reach there, David?
Well, nobody plans that this one will be arrested at this time. Everyone is arrested as and when the circumstances permit.
But there are also indicators when the spokesperson of police starts saying that some supporters and candidates have already started provoking security personnel, and one would think that that could be one of the triggers.
Well, provocation, yes. You are saying of provoking security personnel. My question is, why should you provoke security personnel? Well, even from a personal point of view, this man is armed. You are not. Okay? This man is employed to do that work of security. You are not employed in that aspect. So why should you provoke him? Why should you? I mean, it's a question of common sense. Why should you provoke a security officer? It's like, let's go into our own traditional ways or the common sense. Why should you find a snake and want to provoke it? Because you know it can bite you or even kill you. You see, this politics, our people need to learn. Like I started by saying, politics or elections are all about electing national leaders. And we can do it without fights. In fact, we should not have fights because we are trying to select the best. Like Honorable Kiwanda was saying that his candidate is the best, and he gives the results. This is about the debate. We are saying, I am the best. Then the other one says, no, Honorable Kyagulanyi is the best. This one says, no, it must be Honorable whoever. So does that call for a fight? We are not in a school debate where one would say fire is more important than water. We have outgrown this. Let's do elections without any fuss. Let's be realistic. We want leaders and good leaders. And that does not call for fights, does it? I don't think so.
Interesting. I come to Honorable Chwanda again. You are the prefect, if I can say, apart from the electoral commission, you're doing a very significant role as a national consultative forum. But how are you guiding the political parties that you head to make sure that we have peaceful elections from the 1st of October up to the end of February, when all of us are going to be choosing our leaders, but peacefully?
Maybe I can pick from where Ndugu David has stopped on the issue of order and freedom. You know, some people think that in a country which is free, you can do whatever that you want to do. That's a very bad thinking. It will definitely lead you to a different end as a person, because you think people should know what to do when. There are certain things that we do in the kitchen, there are certain things that we do in the bedroom, there are certain things that you do in the sitting room. Even some houses have toilets. So you know to do the right thing at the right time. So what you see,
the right place.
Yes, and the right place. What you see being done, what brings issues, is people doing probably the right thing, but in the wrong place. I was with candidate MUSEVENI in LUWEERO yesterday, but one. I think yesterday, actually yesterday. Yeah, we were in, that is on Monday, Tuesday. Our first rally was Tuesday, today is Thursday, yes. And we had a rally, a very big rally at Bukalasa. You reach Kubobulenzi and you enter about a kilometer inside. And because we know we were going to host many people, we wanted a place which can actually accommodate these people without interrupting the business of the rest. Because there are some people, okay, you are holding a campaign. If you hold it in the middle of Wobulenzi, there are some people who are taking sick people to Mulago Hospital, and you are disrupting that. People have markets within that place. People are selling mangoes, people are selling tomatoes. And for you, because you are standing for a political office, you only think about yourself, and as long as you've won, you don't care. That's wrong. And definitely that's what brings issues. People wanting to do probably the good thing, the right thing, but in the wrong place. What is happening, it's just when candidates are told that please don't hold your rally here, hold it here. They say, me, I will hold it here. And why? Why do you need to fight with the police or with the law enforcers? We have the Code of Conduct. When you read the Political Parties and Organizations Act, said it too, talks about the Code of Conduct for political parties. How do we behave? What do you need to say? Because why do you make statements that are actually going to cause havoc, that are going to create instability for your country in the next day? Because at the end of the day, much as I belong to NRM, another might be belong to FDC, another to PFF, another probably belongs to the National Unity Platform, but we have one country called Uganda. And this country can accommodate all of us. And actually it's unconstitutional that there is not one particular time that Uganda will be under a one-party state. It's constitutional. So as you go out, to campaign, you as a national resistance movement, you must know that as you go out, there are some people who are not going to believe with you, and it's their right. Some people think that whoever is going to talk to, whether you're in a uniform, whether you're what, you should know that the only way that you need to get that person, you need to convince him, you need to convince her to vote for your candidate, as David is saying. But also, the Code of Conduct, actually as National Unity Platform, we discussed this with them, with my brother Ndugu Katana. And we are going to hold now, I think next week, we'll have a very big meeting, a very big crusade on the Code of Conduct. How do political parties behave? We're also organizing, by the way, a presidential debate, most likely on 12th of December, where we're going to have all of them on the same pulpit, and they will speak to the country. we're organizing that as the National Consultative Forum, and also our brothers, the Interreligious Council. So we and other partners, we want to come up with that. But why do we do all this? Because we want Ugandan to choose the best out of the 8. So this is a menu, and for us as political parties, we provided this to Ugandans. And it's now about Ugandans to choose who is the best amongst these ones, who can lead us for the next 5 years. But it's also very important that we believe that we can have peaceful elections. If that one is not in our mind, at times people think, and that is normally done by weak people, even if in football, where David was quoting, when you see somebody, there is no winning team that is given 3-4 red cards, because they know they will stick on the rules. Once you see somebody committing offenses here and there, it's basically because he has seen he cannot manage a clean game. So now he goes, probably now he thinks that the only way he can make a point is kicking so-and-so, at times kicking a referee himself, or whatever that he can do. And definitely what happens is the referee would definitely give that person a red card. He might begin with a yellow one, but at the end of that it will be a red one, and he'll be out of the game. As National Consultative Forum, we call upon all candidates and all agents of all candidates and chief campaigners and you, the general public, don't be used in violence means, because at the end of the day, the candidates probably might go away with it, but for you, who is being influenced in Jinja, probably in Uganda, or in Repetong, or wherever you are, the long arm of the law will definitely catch up with you, and at the end of the day, your family will be the one losing. Don't make wrong decisions. At times you make wrong decisions, you come against security forces, and you think that you are going to abuse them, you are going to do whatever that, and at times you even throw stones to people who are holding guns. These are human beings who can also get annoyed. And of course, we also call upon the security organs to restrain yourselves, because I know what happens when such things, when they annoy you, you may think, of course, they know you are guarding Uganda, and you should also know that uniform that you are putting on, there is a flag of the country called Uganda. It's very important also to respect that flag. But as you respect that flag, please don't provoke the security forces. Let's be together. Let's act as one country, because at the end of the day, this country is big enough to accommodate all of us, to accommodate all our views, and at the end of the day, to have a peaceful country. So let's, from the word go, agree from the word go that we are going to have a peaceful election. And I want to tell you, they are not going to declare 8 candidates that they've won. At the end of the day, only one is going to be declared.
Indeed.
So 7 of you, yes, Uganda is not even ending in 2026. We shall even have votes in 2031. Even in 2036, elections are still going on. Please, let's have a peaceful election. And it should begin with you.
Okay. Interesting. That's a very good call to action. David, I come back to you again. And what are new threats that you see in our country that Ugandans and also the stakeholders that you did mention in the beginning should pay attention to it, to make sure that we are all moving in the same direction, but also on the same speed and on the same page?
Thank you. I want to make a little joke.
Please.
When I was a student at Makerere, one of the halls we had was Northcote. It was, unfortunately, its name was changed.
To Sibiru.
I think it's in Sibiru.
It's in Sibiru now.
Now, Northcote's hall had a motto. Either we win or they lose. Now, you see, when you agree to participate in any contest, let it not even be elections, whether it's a game, if it's a beauty contest, if it's a tug of war even, whichever contest, or even a lottery, whenever you go into a contest, you should expect 2 results. Either you win or you lose. And when you lose, you must lose honorably. Do not want to force a win where there was none. That is for the participants. Now, for these other, the organs, the structures that are involved, especially in the election exercise, it's also incumbent upon them to display a high degree of integrity. High degree of integrity. They should show it that they are really above board. And they should also avoid being cowards. You know the problem with people, some are double-tongued. Says, you see, although they say you lost, me, I saw you had one. You see, now, those are some of the problems we have in this country. People are double-tongued. He says this, they should be people of integrity. They should practice due justice. They should serve without fear or favor, affection or ill will. They should look at it from the point of view of justice, right and wrong. Of course, two people cannot win. So if one has won, let them declare that one has won. And then another thing that the stakeholders need to do is to be coordinated. Let the Electoral Commission, the security, the civic groups, these, what are they called? Civil society groups. Unfortunately, our civil society is, I think it's a bit weak.
They're lacking.
I don't want to say they are lacking. They are a bit weak. They haven't yet. But again, our country, we all know we have a few weaknesses in our country. I have written a book about myself, and I observed in that book that one of the greatest deficits we have in this country is ethical conduct. You know, ethical conduct is not the same as morals. Ethics are doing what you are supposed to do and doing it well. That's ethics. So ethical conduct in our country is greatly lacking. Teachers, instead of going to teach, go to the market on teaching days. Doctors spend most of their time in their private clinics instead of being in the government hospital where they are employed and paid. You can go on and on and on. Politicians do the same. Security people, kitu kidogo, chai. Just today, I had a very unfortunate case where police went to district in Toroko. A family was fighting over land, and one of the people was badly beaten. Eyes red shot. Why? People are fighting over land, private land. Now, please, because they have been compromised, they beat one of the parties. I have pictures here which are so terrible. You look at it, you feel so bad. So this is our country. We have, and that's why we should elect leaders of integrity. Leaders who can have a firm grip of the country. Okay. Before I conclude, I don't know how many of us have wondered to think what Uganda would be like if we didn't have strong leadership. How many of you remember where they called Jambi? What were those things in Kifesi? Kifesi, immediately after 2016 elections or 2021?
The Jambi in Masaka.
Those are the Jambi in Masaka, then they Kifesi in Kampala.
ADF in Rwenzori region. Have you ever thought to imagine what would happen if we had weak leadership? Let's begin to think. You know, it's not enough to say, well, you can even have power and lose it the next day. Haven't you heard of governments being overthrown even after less than a year? It has happened.
Many.
But above all, what is our interest in all this? Why are we participating in politics? Okay. Simple reason. We need peace, we need security, we need development. I want to go home and sleep. I don't care who is a minister. If I can go home and sleep and rest and have no disturbance, whoever is a minister, it doesn't matter. And that's what all of us should be aspiring for.
Interesting. In this part, we always call action, but also give advice to different stakeholders. Honorable Chwanda, I would love you to talk to the youth who are outside there. Most of the times, they are the ones that are being used, especially by opportunist politicians who participate in elections and also campaigns to cause violence. What would be your word to the Gen Zs?
First of all, this time they use different jargons to describe young people. But one thing that you should know as a young person, we are also former young people. You are not the first one, neither are you going to be the last one. So I don't even believe in the generation Z. Then what about another generation that is going to come after you? Because you are not the last generation. There are generations that are going to come after you. But it's very important to see how you are using your generation, that youthful age. You must grow with a purpose. You must be very intentional in whatever that you do. The people that you admire in life, they are very intentional. Very intentional. Before you do anything, think about your future, you as a young person. I became member of parliament when I was 23 years. I was still a young man. I was a leader in my church at 18. I was a leader in my village by 17, 18, 19. I was the chairperson of my district of Mubende Youth Council. And by 2021 at the university, I was a mess minister in Lumumba, one of the biggest halls at campus. I know the North Quarters fear us very much.
The Davids.
The Davids. They would, if you ask, you tell them about Lumumba.
I was not a North Quarter.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I'm a gentleman.
Oh, Livingstone. But the Livingstone people, they always fear Lumumba. If they know now this person has been a minister of food in Lumumba. Some of you attended the university, know what happens on a Thursday. We used to have chicken. I don't know whether these days they still have chicken on every Thursday. But I want to tell you as a young person, first of all, you should know that we're also former young people. President MUSEVENI that you see today, he became a president was in his early 40s. He was a youth, he was a leader when he was in 30s. So that the things that is going to happen to you in your 40s, in your 50s, you must lay a very good foundation for them today. Don't accept to be used. Because if you're violent and next day you've lost your arm, nobody's going to replace it. Nobody. That housing that you see is not going to be changed. I have a phone here and there is a body here, it's called the housing. But this is not the phone. The phone is used in this housing. But if I throw it down, I lose the screen and everything's broken, I might have a broken phone. Probably at times you can go back and buy another housing. But your body is the housing of your soul. It's the housing of yourself. So the way you handle it now, if it's a scar, it's going to be on you permanently. If there is something that has happened on your body, election will go when you've lost your eye, when you've lost your leg, when you've left, and some of you have even have kids as young as you are. So think about that. Be very intentional in anything that don't be excited. Nothing should excite you. Think twice before you act. Before you lift that stone into the middle of the road as a young person, know that the Chwandas of this world, the MUSEVENI, even Moses Ali was also a young person at a particular time. Because at times when you look at it, right on Mama Kadaga, you may think those people were girls. They were girls and boys. So don't think you are the last one, neither you are the first one. So, but the way you use your age matters. So I want to call upon you, the young people, my immediate neighbors now, because I've just left that bracket some time back, I think now about 10 or 20 years. But now I know what happens in that period. Okay. And it's very important that you handle it well, because if you don't handle it well, the other generation, the other floor there where you are going, you may go to that floor or you may not reach that floor. We are on another floor, but we left that floor some time back, but we left it with our 2 arms and our 2 legs, because, not because there were no elections. Elections were there, but we were very intentional in whatever that we are doing.
Your last comment?
Being intentional. Finally, Ugandans, this is our country. People have plan B for everything. We do not have a country called plan B. This is the only country we have. Guard it and let's talk peace. I thank you.
Afande David Lusa, your parting shots, but also a word to the security agencies.
Well, I wish to thank Honorable Kiwanda. I was greatly impressed by his comments.
Thank you.
For the security, you see, security, I always want to say this. There's no group of people called security. These security people, be they soldiers, be they police, be they intelligence officers, they are part and parcel of us. They are our brothers, our sisters, our parents, our children. So we should always look at them as simply as part of us. And security, of course, has got challenges. Good security officers, those of us who have been there, done it and retired honorably, have followed certain etiquette, certain tenets. One of those, I hope it still holds, is being a man or woman of integrity. In whatever you do, you must be a man or woman of integrity. Practice impartiality. Have right judgment. I remember I used to tell the people I worked with, I said the moment you part with common sense, then you do not deserve to be in security. That's why security is very challenging. You see, there's a time when you may have to take a decision abruptly, without thinking, with no precedent to follow, with no one to tell you, and you have to do it. I'll give you a very live example. I was a DISO in Uganda in 1992. I was fighting smugglers. The government was not collecting any tax. Everywhere it was smuggling, even district officials were involved, my own colleagues. So I moved against them. And, well, it's good I overcame it. But they attacked me in the middle of town.
Your colleagues?
No. They're smugglers. During broad daylight, with stones, with whatever. I had military police, 6 of them. And I told the guards I had, said, no, look, a mob is the easiest to fight. Because the moment you fire, everyone will think you have shot at someone. And the tendency, the psychological effect, is to run. So don't shoot at anyone. Just fire in the air, and these people will disperse. And exactly that's what happened. You cannot believe.
And you survived.
I dispersed a whole crowd without hurting anyone. Without hurting anyone, that's true. It's on record. And all of us, we had no damage. All of us, the 6 soldiers, my driver, and I, all came out alive. That is the kind of discretion I'm talking about. Okay. The tendency, when many people would have been, shoot, who dies, dies. Don't do that, because those you shoot might be the innocent people. Don't be trigger happy for security. Normally, give chance. First shot in the air. Second, well, if some people have decided to become brave, that may be a difficult situation. But don't think in terms of firing at people as the first solution. But on the other hand also, don't become a ransom. I know our Lord Jesus Christ became a ransom for us. A good security officer should also have what we call self-preservation. Yeah. Don't say, let them kill me. No. Preserve yourself as you preserve others. Thank you.
Interesting. That brings us to the end of the State of Affairs on U24. This is what we mean by the State of Affairs, and to be inspired by U24. I'm glad that we have learned a lot from the seniors, from Honorable Juanda Suvi Godfrey, coming from the NRM, but also happens to be the leader of the National Consultative Forum. It was a big privilege having you, sir.
Thank you.
And also it was a big privilege having you, Major David Lusa, retired, former UPDF officer, and also Director of Internal Security Organization, that is ISO. Until next time, same Thursday, same time, same session on U24 from 8 to 9 p.m. And we are going to be bringing you more details of what the candidates are going to advancing in the country, looking, seeking, and asking your support and for your votes. It's a good night from me and the team. For God.